Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week, as always, by my good friend, Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And back in the production nook, our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Hello.
Along with associate producer, the giant head of Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
Craig, you look like you are completely in the dark back there.
That's how I prefer to be.
Okay, now that's going to haunt my dreams. All right, so this week we're going to talk about the best and worst attraction-specific merchandise at Walt Disney World.
Merchandise locations.
Merchandise locations at Walt Disney World. And, we sat down, Steve and I sat down, we went through the list of all the places that have, attraction merchandise. And once I really sat and thought about it, I'm kind of surprised by some of the things that make my worst list.
I was too, actually. My number one specifically, I was super surprised.
So let's get right to it. I'm going to start with the best.
Sure.
I think the last time we did a worst first.
Okay.
So let's start with the best, and I'm doing top four.
Okay. I have five, but I can do four.
All right. So I came up with four because there were a lot of them I was just kind of
meh about.
Yeah, agnostic about them. So, number four on my, what did I say we're going to do, worst or best?
Best.
Best. Number four on my best, Expedition Everest. I like that store. Got a lot of cool merchandise, and I'm kind of looking at it from the standpoint of what stores really kind of put some interesting, different stuff themed to the attraction or the area, as opposed to individual items. And I thought, Expedition Everest, that store does a good job. Just the way it's themed, the kind of merchandise they have in there, I thought.
Lots of variety. I especially like, this is also on my list, it's a different number, but I like how they have the shirts that just look like a mountain climbing shirt. It's just like an expedition shirt, and it just happens to be for Expedition Everest. So they have just like small little touch detail type things where unless you're a super uber Disney fan, you're not even going to know that that's a Expedition Everest shirt.
Right.
So stuff like that's kind of cool.
Yeah, agreed. All right, what's number four on your list?
Rock and Roller Coaster. I just think they have a lot. It's just another, pretty large store. There's lots of variety. It's a fun attraction if you like roller coasters. And it's just, I don't know, they have the silly hats that everyone gets with the big top hats, and it's just a fun store.
Okay. I don't think I've ever been in there. I've never ridden the ride.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it didn't make my list because I really,
makes sense.
And there's nothing about it that really appeals to me that I'd want to go in and see, but I should check it out at some point. All right, number three on my list, right next door to Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. I think that store has some absolutely great attraction-specific merchandise, and again, the way it's themed and the sorts of things they have lots of just fun. From like what you would expect in a hotel gift shop. The bathrobes, the do not disturb signs, the mugs, the things like that, but all done around the Hollywood Tower Hotel.
They also have a good amount of artwork in there too, which is pretty cool. The one thing I just feel so bad for the cast members that work in there because there's the little bells.
Oh, yeah.
And I cannot imagine how much of a headache they must get with little kids hitting those bells all day. But yes, that's a great. I
think it's a great merchandise location. I think I may have even rated it a little lower than it should be at number 3, but
fair enough. My number 3 is Expedition Everest, so just to back up with you. But yeah, just a great location.
All right, well, number 2 on my list, and this kind of surprises me that I put it at number 2 because originally it would have been number 1 until I thought about it. But that's Memento Mori at the Haunted Mansion. Again, you want to talk about a great variety of incredibly themed, unique merchandise. This is it. And I'll tell you, my office is loaded with things I bought in that store because my office is designed around Haunted Mansion. A lot of Haunted Mansion artwork and pieces that I've collected over the years. And that's that makes number 2 on my list.
Yeah, you're beating me to the punch with a lot of these. So yeah, that's such a great. I mean, it's one of the best locations I think on property, and I think one, it has good artwork like we talked about with Tower of Terror. And it also just makes sense being there. I remember before when it was just like a random Disney gift store, and it was just, like the merchandise that has the year on it, and it was just an extension almost of the Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved when they transitioned it over to be specific to the attraction.
And the shop is done really well. And my hope has been, and still is to some degree, that they will mimic this business model at other attractions, because I think they can, because there are places, and we'll get to it on the worst list, there are places that could really use it.
Yeah.
But all right, so what was your number two? Was that your number two?
So my number 2 was Tower of Terror.
Okay.
And then my number 1, actually, I'll just jump ahead of you, is also Haunted Mansion. So just to tie it all together. So we were pretty much on the same.
See, now, even though I'm a bad Disney fan, I have not been over there yet, but from everything I have seen, I've seen a lot of the merchandise coming out of there, and the reports we're hearing from people, I am going ahead and I'm giving the number 1 spot to Pandora at Animal Kingdom. There's some really unique, I think more than any other place at Disney World. The Banshees.
Yep.
A lot of the stuff I'm seeing coming out of there.
Yeah, they have the Banshees. They have the black light section that has like the backpacks that glow and the shirts that glow, and just.
So that didn't make your list, though.
It didn't. I'm not quite there yet with it being so new that I haven't granted it that spot yet for me. It just doesn't feel like. I don't know. There's something about it that I just didn't quite feel comfortable putting it up in my top 4. I don't know.
Well, I'm giving it that spot. So all right, fine. Let's go over to the worst list. What's number 4 on your worst list?
All right. I'm still bitter about it because I worked there, but Buzz Lightyear gift store is so small, and I'm really hoping maybe when Toy Story lands that Buzz and the Toy Story friends will get a bigger gift store. But yeah, that gift store is so small. It always smells bad. It smells like pee in there. I'm just saying. And there's
you have a thing with excrement and gift shops.
It just happens there. I don't know. But yeah, it smells horrible in there. And it just, I don't know, it deserves better. So that was my number 4.
All right, my number 4 is kind of a shock, but I'm going to explain why. Pirates.
Interesting.
Pirates. It's a lot of mass-produced plastic crap. There's not a lot of interesting stuff in there. There's not a lot of unique stuff. It's just, I've always found it to be disappointing. Every time I go through that gift shop, I keep hoping that I'll see something cool, something new, something different. And it's the same plastic swords and Jack Sparrow hats, and there's just nothing unique about it.
Yeah, I think there's 2 sides of the coin with this. I do agree that it is mostly that kind of stuff. The other side of me says, well, maybe that store's just not for us. That's for the kids. It's so that they can get their pirate hat in there. But then I go back to your side again, and I think, well, there should be at least a small section that has, some collectible, cool items or artwork or something. Especially,
there's so much they could do with it.
Yeah,
there is so much more they could do with it.
And it's a big space.
It is a huge space. It's one of the biggest attraction gift shops, I think, that are there. I mean, there's a lot of space there. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it's phoned in. I feel like it's just, bottom of the barrel, lowest common denominator. Not a lot of thought goes into it.
The made in China,
I think it's all made in China. But but that's my number 4 is on the worst list is Pirates.
You kind of convinced me on that one. I that's now my honorable mention for worst too.
Okay, all right. What's number 3 on your list?
Splash Mountain. Okay. I think Splash Mountain for me is the epitome of a Disney attraction.
Absolutely.
And so really there's 2 little spots for shirts, and there's a little small little corner, and they have the other Briar's Patch gift store too, but it just doesn't feel complete to me. And it's like all broken up. Like there's the gift store outside the attraction, and there's the other one, and it just kind of seems like a mess to me. And I feel like there could be a lot more like artwork or collectibles, like we kind of talked about with Pirates, that there really is not those great gift items to bring home. It's a lot of T-shirts and phoned in crap, like you said. So.
Well, number 3 on my list goes to Test Track.
Okay.
Again, with, like zero imagination. You just have a lot of cars. And there's nothing done with it. There's nothing about it when I walk through that draws my attention or gets me excited. Not like, Haunted Mansion or Tower of Terror or Expedition Everest. And it's just kind of like, we got to put toy cars in here, and other little car-related $3 knick-knack crap.
I've certainly never stopped and even looked around, and I just walk right through, and I'm on to the next attraction. I'd be interesting to hear what Will Perry has to say, since he loves cars. If he thinks,
that'd be a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. What's number 2 on your list?
The Seas with Nemo. It's just a couple stuffed animals, and that's about it. And I think that's one of the, Nemo and now Finding Dory are some of the most beloved Pixar movies out there. Mm-hmm. And it really just kind of has this small little spot, and it could be, it feels like they could put more stuff in there. They just choose not to. Maybe they don't because it's also an exit, and so they're worried about it backing up. But I've always just felt like there was not a lot in there. And I do love those movies. So if they had, some cool things in there, I'd probably get something. But,
Well, for me, number 2 is Journey into Imagination. You want to talk about, it's only befitting that the worst attraction at Walt Disney World also has one of the worst gift shops. Again, it's pointless. It's completely pointless. Nothing creative is done there. Nothing creative is sold there, except you can have those creepy paperweights with your face etched inside done, which it really looks like they've just captured your soul, which is how you feel when you get off that attraction. Like your soul has been captured and it's no longer your own. So maybe that makes it a good gift shop. Here, this is what you feel like, trapped in plastic. But yeah, I absolutely despise this gift shop. I every time I walk through it, I'm like, what a waste of space.
Yeah.
What a waste of space. It's the same thing I feel. I know Kathy Whirling is just...
She has a single tear coming down.
No, she's at the screen right now. But, I love Figment. And I think they could turn that into an all Figment all the time store, and it would be awesome. They could do some really fun stuff with that. But that whole attraction should be Figment, in my opinion. And not the garbage it is right now. But that's
a separate issue.
It's a separate issue. It's number 2 on my list. What's number 1 for you, Steve?
So number 1 for me, I have Space Mountain Gift Shop.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's another large location, but it's been overcome with Magic Band and phone cases. And that is probably my favorite thrill attraction at Walt Disney World. Well, now with Flight of Passage, there's a discussion to be made, but it's one of the most iconic Disney attractions, no matter anything else. So there's got to be, they have a couple shirt racks, but besides that, it's the PhotoPass location for the ride and Magic Bands and phone cases. They've just got to at least do something in the back, or I don't know. What happened to that whole arcade section that used to be?
Yeah.
Can't they open that up to be more Space Mountain gifts?
I see. I'm upset that they got rid of the arcade. I thought the arcade was awesome.
Yeah, right.
And, especially when, because there were times that I was too fat or my back hurt too much to ride Space Mountain, and I go hang out in the arcade while my friends or my family would go ride that.
Right.
And I didn't put it on my worst list because there are some really cool things in there. And I don't mind being in that gift shop. It's not one of those ones where I get upset with. So it didn't make my list. But what made number 1 on my list was on your list, Seas with Nemo and Friends. Absolute waste. They could do so, especially when you consider the popularity of that franchise.
Yeah.
There was so much they could have done there. They could, and they really could have made it. I mean, especially with all the Living Seas and Turtle Talk with Crush. So many cool things they could have come up with. And again, it's just, I think it's the most phoned in gift shop.
Yeah, it falls flat. It's basically just stuffed animals and a couple toys.
That's it. That's all it is, and it could be so much more. That's my number one. So, on my best list, number 4, Expedition Everest. Number 3, Tower of Terror. Number 2, Haunted Mansion. Number 1, Pandora. What's on your best list?
My best list is Rock and Roller Coaster, Expedition Everest, Tower of Terror, and Haunted Mansion.
Okay, so we have a lot of crossover.
Very
there.
similar, yeah.
On my worst list, number 4, Pirates. Number 3, Test Track. Number 2, Journey into Imagination. And number 1, The Seas with Nemo and Friends.
So I have Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin at number 4. Number 3, Space Mountain. Number 2, The Seas with Nemo and Friends. And number 1, Space Mountain.
Okay, so there you have it. Our best and worst attraction-specific merchandise locations. That's a long title. Good luck putting that on the video at Walt Disney World. And that is going to do it for our episode for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with you again next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Have a great week, everyone.